Growing up in a toxic home, you end up with a lot of anger. And being that my childhood was full of physical violence, emotional violence, pain, there was no shortage of anger that I had. And even when I managed to get out of my house or my family's house at 35, I still had a lot of anger. Now, some of that was because I had never really addressed the anger that I had from my time living at home. So I already was coming in with a very high threshold of anger. And then getting into life as an adult on my own, there was no shortage of that. I would had a crappy job that at a call center that really wasn't going to put me anywhere forward. I didn't have friends. All I really did was come home, play computer games, watch spicy content, and repeat the cycle over and over. So it was a dark time in my life. And certainly not knowing how to address my anger, knowing the only thing I knew how to do was to hold that anger in and continue to hold it in and in and in until it exploded. And when I lived at home, often the result would be a physical confrontation with one of my brothers. It would be into a shouting match with my mother. And even though in a lot of those cases, I had every right to be angry and I wasn't the fault person, for lack of a better description, I still felt guilty afterwards, which then, of course, caused more anger. So there was this just never ending cycle of anger and negativity that just kept cycling over and over. And truth is that had I not found a way to address it, my life could have gone a very different way. And so, but when I think about it, though, now, many years later, having done lots of work on myself, lots of self-reflection, a lot of research, a lot of understanding, I guess would be maybe the best way to say that. I've come to realize that anger is like a tool. And the best way I can maybe think of it is a hammer. Now, a hammer can be used to put nails in the wall, can be used to hang up a picture, can be used to build a house, it can be used to build a giant skyscraper. A hammer can also be used to inflict violence on somebody. And there certainly are cases where a hammer has been used to unalive somebody. So the hammer is neither good nor bad. The hammer is simply a tool that can be used by somebody for a purpose, whether positive or negative. Anger, in the same sense, is a tool. Now, for much of my early life and pretty much into even as a young to middle-aged adult, I was using that anger in a very negative way. I was using it to just fuel all sorts of negative. Really, I wasn't using it at all. And so, because of that, it just was building up. And again, it would explode. And, when I was at home, it was obviously at my family. And, as I got older, it became a risk because since I didn't have family at home, I never really knew where that anger was going to go or who it was going to target because I was always trying to hold it in, hold it in, hold it in because I didn't really have any positive way to get rid of it. But I realized that anger is a superpower. And you might say, well, why is it why is that? I'm going to share a couple things in hindsight, where had I not had that anger, my life would be in a very different place. Back in 2015, I had an opportunity to head overseas. It ended up being 10 weeks to the Philippines to train some people and to basically live over there. And I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it because I had all these self doubts and worries that I couldn't do it and that I wasn't worthy of it and blah blah blah. Just all the negativity that you could think about was in there. And I remember sitting on my couch one night, right before I had to make this decision, and I got angry. I got really angry. But I got angry at myself. I said, "What the F is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You have an opportunity here that very few people get. You have what eventually ended up being a life-changing experience, but an opportunity to travel. Your mother never gave that. My mom never gave that to me when I was growing up. I never really had that opportunity to travel. There were opportunities I could have traveled, but the money was never there. I was angry. You have a chance to prove to her that you can do this on your own. My brothers were always angry for the few opportunities because I was the eldest. So I usually at least got opportunities like to do marching band and some small other stuff. They were always angry at me because I got opportunities that they didn't feel that they ever got. Here you have the opportunity to prove to them that guess what? Screw them. You can do this on your own. You can make it without them. And so it became like strapping a jetpack to my ass. And it was like, okay, you can move forward. You can use this. This anger is going to be the fuel that's going to make you say yes and is going to make you get over there and do a good job and make something of that opportunity. And I did. And that will be something that I will talk about at a future time, those experiences while I was over there. It it also was the fuel that pushed me. I finally just had enough with because I still lived within close proximity to my family in the city. It was the fuel 7, 8 months later that pushed me to move out and to move across the country because I just had enough of them continuing to put pressure on me, even though I no longer was living under the roof, to really push me to be out as an adult. And it also was the fuel that pushed me when I first got to my current location to realize that this job that I was in wasn't going to matter and to keep pushing me to be able to get the job with the company that I am and eventually moved into the role that I am now, which is a pretty good position, all things considered. So, anger is a superpower, but only if you're willing to actually use it that way. And I think so many of us, especially myself, use it to use it in a way that doesn't benefit us. Use it in a way that hurts us versus helps us. And so, as I sit here and really think about it at this point, I think we all need to really take a step back and consider the next time that we're angry. That instead of just bottling it up and saying, okay, I'm not going to do anything with this. That no, acknowledge that you're angry. Maybe it's right. Maybe you're right to be angry. And I think in a lot of cases, we do have the right to be angry. But even if you don't have the right to be angry, acknowledge it. Recognize, okay, I'm angry. Now, what am I going to do with that anger? Am I just going to hold it in? No, that's stupid. That's not the right way. Instead, say, okay, well, what is this? What am I going to do with this? If I was wronged, How am I going to unwrong? How am I going to address that wrong? Am I going to talk to somebody? Am I going to whatever? Am I going to take some sort of action that is going to minimize or prevent that anger from happening again? And if you do, you're going to find that is one, you feel a hell of a lot better because that anger doesn't sit inside of you and build and manifest into this darkness that you're just going to explode at other people. But more importantly, it's going to push you forward. It's going to push you to do things that maybe you're not motivated to do. Maybe you're not comfortable. It's going to light a fire under your ass. And it will help you. It will help you to, just like it's helped me, to get me a long ways in life. And hopefully that anger will help me to get to higher and better places in the future. If you like what we talked about here today, please like, subscribe, and share. Certainly post in the comments. I'd love to hear how you guys, what your thoughts are about anger and how it's either helped or hurt you in your life. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care.